All right. Hi, everybody. I'm here with my sister, JerriSue, and she lived with me for like 4 or 5 years. And I would just like to ask you, Jerry, what is your description of Cookson Hills in your own words?
Cookson Hills is a kind of like a group home, a children's home, but it has more to me like a foster care type of thing, like a more like a foster family, but it is in a group setting. So it's a group home.
And what brought you to Cookson?
Um, I got into a lot of trouble as a teenager. Um, I my biological mother was not equipped to raise a kid at all. So after getting in lots of legal trouble and stuff, it wasn't a good or healthy place for me anymore. So my grandmother reached out for help and found Cookson. I can't hear you now.
Sorry, could you explain to us what a typical day would look like at Cookson for you?
A typical day at Cookson, we would during the week we would get up fairly early. Um, gosh, I want to say it was like around 6:30 or 7 to have breakfast, and we all would eat our meals during the week at a dining hall um, with other families. And so we would have our breakfast. We would talk as a family. Then we would go back to our homes, get ready for the day, whether that was school. Um, and then we'd walk back from school and have lunch at the dining hall with our families. And then after school, if we played sports or anything like that, we would do that. But I didn't do all that. So I would go typically and watch my sisters play sports, but their soccer games or volleyball or whatever they did. And then we would have dinner, and then we'd have a little bit of family time, and then it was, showers in bed.
What the toughest part about Cookson was, or maybe one of your tougher memories there?
My toughest memories at Cookson, or like the tougher,
Like
hmm,
either one where
I think the toughest part for me was allowing myself to accept the sense of family that was very foreign to me. Excuse me. It was very foreign to me. So I didn't grow up in a typical family at all. My grandparents did the majority of raising me. So to be kind of thrown in to what I would describe as like a cookie cutter family, like it was bizarre. I felt like I was, you know, on another planet. So it was hard for me to accept what would be healthy, like like a healthy environment. I mean, I think that was the hardest part, was knowing that this is what normal should be, and everything I knew prior was not, and yeah, I think that was the hardest part, was trying to adjust to a family.
that makes sense. I can see why that would be difficult.
Yeah.
What do you think was the best experience you had with Cookson?
Um, in the same sense, I would almost say that was the best experience for me too, was I gained a lot from Cookson. Um, and I gained a lot of skills that I use today as a wife and as a professional and as a mother. And I feel like probably the best thing I left Cookson was with like a sense of what family should be and what I should be as a person, as a wife, as a mother, as a friend, and I didn't have those examples prior to Cookson. So getting to know what an actual family should be like and what I wanted, like what I wanted for my future. I don't know if I even thought of the future before Cookson. I mean, I don't know what teenager really does, but I feel like for myself it was like not at all. Like I didn't know if I was going to be in jail or alive, much less any kind of happy ending, I guess. So to see that it was available to me, like I was in charge, I could have like a future. So I think the best thing for me for Cookson was leaving with a family, and a family that I still, with all the certainty in the world, can still call my family 10 years later.
Wow, that's really awesome. So they gave you like almost like a sense of hope, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like Cookson Hills without a doubt saved me. Like, and I don't know if I want to give more of the credit to Cookson or more of the credit to the Myers, but it was, I guess at the end of the day, it was both. Like, I wouldn't have ever met them without Cookson and vice versa. So it definitely changed my life for the better, for sure.
Well, I'm glad. Have you has your view changed at all since leaving Cookson when you were what age did you leave at?
I left when I turned 18, so I had graduated, and that's when I had left. I don't know if it's fair to say my view changed because I know the mission is still the same and I support that 110%. But I did have a sense of a little bit of like an abandonment going into Cookson and then once I left Cookson. And granted, I got a lot of help with that while there, but when you leave the Cookson bubble, and it's very much like its own world. And then you go into the real world and you're a teenager and you're an adult and you have all this freedom, like you stumble and you make mistakes. And, you know, I remember, I remember personally when I was at Cookson, my mom would always say, Sue, she would always pull out the shirt and be like, Sue, cover yourself. So, when I left, I was like, I can do whatever I want, I can wear what I want. And so, I mean, I know I didn't do like the best and I made my fair share of mistakes and I never felt the sense of abandonment from my parents, which is at the end of the day, all I could ever really want. But there were people that I was very close to and I looked up to a lot and that I would, in a sense, say kind of turned their shoulders to me. And, and I know part of that is just not condoning the decisions I was making, but I feel like as a mother now, I would like to think that I won't do that when I have the opportunity to. I do know that's easier said than done, but so I don't think my view has changed overall, but I wish if I could tell them now, I would be like, give kids a little bit of a breather when they're going back into a not traditional, home or lifestyle and give them room to kind of stumble a little bit because, the I don't know what I would have done if I wouldn't have had my family to still fall back on once I, you know, picked myself up and I'm like, okay, this is not what I need to be doing. This is not how I need to be acting. So I think my view hasn't changed, but I didn't have the easiest transition either.
And that makes a lot of sense. It's not going to be an easy transition because it is such.
No, it was not. It was not easy at all.
Um, what would you tell new house parents who are coming to Cookson?
Not to take anything, especially in the beginning, personal. Like, these kids aren't coming from ideal situations or happy homes or stable parents or stable themselves. And I know I can only speak for myself, but excuse me, when I came into Cookson, I was very angry and I was very rebellious and just just angry. And I know that at some point I probably took it out on the wrong people, and and that's not fair. It's not fair. And I think teenagers do that regardless, but this is like magnetized like a lot, and I heard Dad say in your other interview that they really don't see the progress and like all the good that comes until later, and like how these aren't microwave kids, these are crock pot kids. And you know I would I know it's hard. I can only imagine how hard it is to be on their side of things. And so I would say just not to take it personal and to not, and every kid's different. I mean, I was so different from any of my other siblings ever that I was with. And I do know that I wouldn't have been, I don't think I would have been as successful if I wouldn't have been in the home that I was in. I don't know if I would have succeeded as much in another house. And so if the child is not meshing, that's okay too. Like, it's at the end of the day, like, everybody agrees that it's the mission is for the kids and to make sure they're going to get everything they can out of this experience. And so not to take it personally if they're not just the right fit. I know for a fact, I know for an absolute fact, I would have not done well in other houses. And I know that I needed the parenting style that Steve and Sharon showed me. I needed the strong father figure that I bonded with over music, and I needed the softer mom because I didn't have that in my real life. So I needed everything opposite of what I naturally had. And it worked for me. And I use it now. So I feel like, my advice to them would to be have a little bit of thicker skin, do not take it personal. And at the end of the day, like, it kind of turns into not taking it personal. Like, if it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit. And I don't think anybody should be ashamed of that.
Yeah, that was wonderful advice. Like, it's for the kids.
Yeah.
And what would you tell new kids that are coming into the system?
It is okay to be angry. Like, it is okay to be angry. And I feel like that's something that I learned a lot from a handful of people. I know for a fact I learned how to process my emotions from my parents, Steve and Sharon. But I remember also somebody who helped me a lot at Cookson was Dessa and Zach Cooper. Like, I had days off with them a lot, and I remember being so mad about something. I don't even remember what it was. And he literally let me go outside with a baseball bat and beat up a tree, you know? And it's all about, like, it is okay. Like, and I felt like sometimes with certain people at Cookson, I was afraid to like disappoint them or upset them, or I don't want them to see me angry, and I don't want them to see me, XYZ. And, you know, you're coming into this whole new world, and it's okay to be angry. Like, you're going to feel abandoned, you're going to feel sad, you're going to feel confused, and that's okay. That's okay. And it's going to work out. You're given all these opportunities, and I would say use them. Like, one of the best things I got from Cookson besides my family was counseling that I wouldn't have gotten ever, I'm sure. And to this day, it's made me very pro counseling. And I I saw my therapist multiple times a week, and I got to do like equine therapy, which really helped. They noticed that I, opened up better and like around animals, and I got to do a lot of healing that I don't know if I would have ever got a chance to do, or if I would have, even with even if I was just with my foster parents, if I would have done the extensive amount of healing as I did with my therapy. Like, there were so many things, and so I would just say use it. I know it's hard. Like, it's hard to, sit down and tell somebody how you're feeling, and that's vulnerable and it's scary, but I would say, like, Cookson is really trying to give you every tool you could need to be successful. So my advice to them would be to use it, to use those tools, and to not be afraid of how they're feeling, because they're entitled to feel those feelings. And if they don't work through them, then, what's the point?
All right. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for doing this video again. I know it.
It's okay.
And I just wanted to say, like, thank you, and thanks for being my sister. I have a lot of good memories with you, like just us talking about weird things, or like dancing together in the living room, like just small memories that really mean a lot. And
Yeah.
I'm glad we've been able to talk and reconnect. Like,
I know Facebook has been such a blessing as far as growing up the way I did, and having so many different types of families that I've been able to keep in touch with and watch people grow, and people that I grew up with in Cookson that were angry teenagers with me, that I'm now watching them raise their families. And it's just really nice. We have like, all mom has all these like Cookson grandbabies, and I love it. Like, my daughter watches mom's story times all the time, and she loves it. And I'm grateful that we're able to stay connected. And I think this is awesome what you're doing, because I know it's hard to explain what it is. Like, it's so hard to explain what it is. And I feel like I typically just, if I don't have the time to go into detail, I'm like, I was in foster care, I was in a group home. But it's so much more than that, and you don't have time to. And I think with everyone getting so many different opinions, somebody who's really passionate about wanting to know what it is, this is the best way that they're going to get like a real good idea of what it is, because it's so much more than a children's home or a foster care place. Like, this is families. This is a community of families. And gosh, I mean, I don't know. I just think this is awesome.
and I wanted to do it because when I moved out, I didn't know how to put it, considering that I wasn't a part of the foster care and I wasn't sent there. So
Right.
I didn't tell anybody all through high school, and I just didn't say anything. So I thought it was almost like not accepting my heritage for not.
Right.
So,
Yeah, because you were born at Cookson,
yeah,
right?
I was born there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's who you are, and it's so hard. I was literally trying to explain it to a friend of mine yesterday, and she's like, "Well, it sounds like a group home." I was like, "Well, it kind of is." And then I was trying to explain to her, like, how it's on 1,000 acres, and how we have everything there, like a school, a gas station, a store, like everything. Everybody sees the same doctor. The everybody works on the campus, and all the dads take turns, doing church, and it was just, it's so, and that's what made me think, like, there's so much that people don't even know. Like,
We had our own church camp in the wilderness,
girl,
and sports.
I don't know if I ever told you, but when I went to Cookson, when I got dropped off at Cookson, it was in the summertime, and it was during when I did my tour, everybody was at wilderness camp. So I was like, no, I'm not staying here. There's no kids. Like, absolutely not. Like, where are the kids? This is like a group home. Where are the kids? And they're like, oh, they're in the woods. And I'm like, no. No. So it's so funny looking back, because I loved wilderness camp, and we all know I'm not very outdoorsy, but I loved wilderness camp. Thinking back on it now, it was like, yeah, I was like not having it. But I mean, some of the greatest moments of my life were at Cookson, and I genuinely believe the mission is still the same, and I use things every day that mom and dad taught me with my daughter, with my husband, and it's made me a better person, and I don't want to even think about the person I would be without it. Like, it's just I and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I don't have to know. So
I
I love.
I love that. Like, honestly, because that was like that just makes me feel so much better, that like knowing that mom and dad helped you and it was all like worth it. Like, me being there for so long, like that it was like worth it. And it fills me up. Like, just
I'll never forget, you were the little kid running around with sticks and Crocs, and mom would be like, now you're off in the woods somewhere, like beating up a boy with a stick. So
you
I
can't
just
even do that.
so many good memories and so many lessons learned, and I don't know. I don't know if it's ever really possible for anyone to really get it unless you've lived it, unless you've seen it. And in the same on the same time, I don't know if it's really even fully possible to truly express like the gratitude of it. I don't know. I feel like I could tell, mom and dad and Dessa and Zach and Grandpa Moody and Mr. Williams and, you know, all these people who had such a hand in molding me. I feel like I can tell them thank you every day for the rest of my life. And it still wouldn't mean like enough, because how do you thank someone for like giving you your life back? Like, how do you do that? And as a mother, I look at my child and I'm like, you know, she's worth it. She's worth it. And I'm glad that mom and dad saw me as worth it. And if they felt like a fraction for me, the way I do for my daughter, like, like how do you do that? And and they raise their their biological children, and I know that's got to be hard. And and I can say thank you every day, and I don't feel like it would ever be enough. And the only way I know how to like do it is to raise my daughter right, and to love her and respect her and cherish her and let her know that she is loved. Because I know as an angry 14, 15-year-old that went into Cookson, I did not feel loved at all. And I left with friends, like lifelong friends and family. Like, it's been 10 years now that I've been away from Cookson, and I still to this day feel closer with my family there and my friends I've made than I do blood relatives. And it just really is, it really is a cool place. And I think it's a much needed place. And like, I don't know, it's I don't know.
And again, like, thank you so much for sharing
You're welcome.
and doing that for your daughter. Like, yeah, that's exactly what mom and dad would want. Like, if I know them at all, And
Yeah.
thank you. And I hope I can talk to you again soon. Like,
Yes, I love this. We're gonna have to. I actually am supposed to Zoom with mom on Sunday, so I'm excited. And I'm proud of you. I think this is awesome. I can't wait to watch all the videos and see everybody else's like point of view, because everybody was so different and went in there with their own circumstances, and to see like where the people are now, you know, because Cookson does something similar to this, but it's all with like current kids. Like, and there's some people that even now I'm like, whatever happened to them? You know, what was their story? Because I'm sure my experience was much different than other people's. So I think this is awesome. And I think this is going to shed a light on everything that either was wrong and could be fixed or has been fixed. And, you know, and for foster parents and that are still doing it, like even if somebody doesn't want to do Cookson, you know, I would love to foster. So maybe this will be a good thing to watch, you know, because at the end of the day, this is all about kids who need families and need love in whatever form, you know, that is. So I think this is awesome, and I'm proud of you.
Thanks. I'm ready to. And I love you. All right.
I love you.
Bye, girl. I'm going to see you later. Okay.
Bye.
Okay.